What's up, Facebook Live? Welcome. As you're tuning in, I would love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things you're grateful for out there in Facebook world. Apparently, I have a light side and a dark side due to today's lighting. Anyways, hope you're having an amazing day. I wanted to jump on really quickly and chat about a concept of emotional intelligence. Again, as you are tuning in, love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things you're grateful for. Put it right over there in the comment section. Maybe down below. I'm not sure where it's at. Welcome. What is up? Good to see you all. Just to give you some awesome facts about why emotional intelligence is important. I was sent an email from David. What's up, buddy? From actually Mr. David, who just logged in. And it had some really interesting information about emotional intelligence that I'm going to share with you. Let's see. 1996, a study of global food and beverage company. This group found that when a senior manager had a critical mass of emotional intelligence capabilities, their divisions outperformed yearly earnings by 20%. Meanwhile, division leaders without the critical mass of emotional intelligence underperformed by almost the same 20%. And they found that this held true in most U.S. divisions, as in Asia and Europe as well. Also, when they compared star performers with average ones in senior leadership positions, nearly 90% of the difference in their profiles was attributed to emotional intelligence factors rather than cognitive abilities. That was done by Harvard Business Review. So what's fascinating is what they're figuring out is people who are in a leadership position who have high emotional intelligence tend to outperform people in a leadership position that have lower emotional intelligence. So I like the fact that we talk about all the tips that I'm going to share with you real quick. There's a few tips of how to increase your emotional intelligence. But what was interesting is the concept of people who have high emotional intelligence tend to produce better results with their organization, their team, their group than those without it. So this is why I'm a huge fan of getting managers and people in leadership positions to join our Performance Coach University program, is because we teach all the types of tools that help people have higher emotional intelligence, so that if you're owning a company, running a company, leading a team, managing a team, you have better emotional intelligence skills to lead and understand and communicate with them. So we're going to go over, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different tips they gave in this email. I thought very useful. But before that, as you're tuning in, I'd love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, I'd love to know three things you're grateful for, right over there in the comment section, wherever it is on your page. David from Los Angeles, who sent me this email. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Let's see. Bria from Detroit. Welcome. My wife's from just outside of Detroit. Stephanie, nice to see you. Huckin, nice to see you. Mr. Atif, what's up, buddy? From Charlotte, North Carolina. Good to see you. Jacob, Toledo, Ohio. What's up, buddy? Oh, OSP. Very cool. Hopefully more people from the team tune in. Love to come back and see you guys. I actually have some brand new content on high performance I'd love to share with you guys. Whenever your next convention is coming up, make sure they ping me. We'd be happy to come out. We've got some really great stuff for high performance. Steve, nice to see you. Stuart from Fort Lee, Virginia. Good. Welcome, sir. Jacob, EQ is more important than IQ. Absolutely is, sir. Amazing Leetai, what's up? Mr. Atif, health, happiness, and Jairek. Thank you, sir. Paul from London, what's up, buddy? Anita, hello. Nice to see you. Jacob, grateful for your son who turns 3. Congratulations. Happy birthday, little one. My opportunities in life from Sweden. What's up, buddy? So thank you for tuning in. I see the number popping up. Now, if you believe someone in your community needs to increase their emotional intelligence, they could use some tips, click the share button, and so we can share this with them as we're going to talk about this. But to get started, just to reiterate for those of you who just joined us, what they figured out was, Steve, what's up, buddy, from Tampa? What they figured out was leaders, people in leadership positions who have higher emotional intelligence tend to produce better results with their team and organization than people with less emotional intelligence. Now, where is this important? I would say it's important for parents, because I'm guessing Parents with higher emotional intelligence tend to better lead, manage, understand, and communicate with their kids better than parents without the high emotional intelligence. People who are teachers, people who are leaders, people who are coaches, people who are managers, or anyone in that position where you're working and interacting with other humans, which is most people, but specifically in leadership positions. Now, the very first thing that they say that can help increase your emotional intelligence is something called self-awareness. And so self-awareness is, let me see, they give a description in here, which is really useful. Let me pull it up. Let's see. So self-awareness means having a deep understanding of one's emotions, strengths, weaknesses, needs, and drives. People with strong self-awareness are neither overly critical or unrealistically hopeful. Rather, they are honest with themselves about and with others. And people who have high degree of self-awareness recognize how their feelings affect them, other people, and their job performance. So, big question. If you were to give yourself a rating, Rhea, nice to see you. Helen, good day from Australia. Sandy, welcome. Let's see. If you were giving yourself a 0 to 10 rating, 0 meaning your self-awareness is lacking, 10 meaning you're very self-aware. You know where you're strong, you know where you're weak. You know what you're good at, you know what you're not good at. You know, let's see, you know what you need, you know what drives you. 0 meaning you're not quite sure. So 0 to 10, how self-aware are you in your life, in your business, in what you do? Meaning you're very aware of self. You know yourself. You know what you need. You know what you want. You know what you desire. You know how good you are at certain things. You know how talented you are. You know what your weaknesses are. You know what you're not good at. Let's see. David says a 5. Chris says a 5. Mark from Montreal, welcome. Bria says an 8. Okay. So where is your current level of self-awareness? Now, this is kind of funny because you're rating yourself on how aware you are of where you're at. Let's see. Paul, many years of hard work and leadership got me to a 7. Good work, sir. So where are you? Where is your current level of self-awareness? How aware you are of what you need, what you're good at, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. Let's see. 7 from Ray, Mr. Atifa, 9, Vio, a 7. Very interesting. Now, here's what's fascinating. How could you improve at self-awareness? Now, one thing, Sonia is a 7. One thing that would help with self-awareness, so one thing that's very useful is this little character. Let me see if I can turn and show it to you. Nope, wrong way. Bink, right there. No, not the monkey. That guy, Muse. So meditation helps increase self-awareness, becoming aware of self. So if you're interested in increasing your self-awareness, one great tool we love to use, let me type it in here real quick, www.highperformancemuse.com. Boom. So that's something we use to increase self-awareness. Let's see. Anita is an 8. Hawkins is 6. Mary's working to do better. Good work. Helen's a 7. Paul, great stuff. Maybe I should rate myself higher because I'm aware of how much I lack. Fair enough. So let's see. So how do you increase self-awareness? You don't always see yourself accurately. So one thing that's helpful with self-awareness is sometimes asking a friend or asking a spouse. Let me read this little paragraph. They have a little paragraph here that talks about how to increase self-awareness, and I'll tell you a couple tips I know. Let's see. So how do you increase self-awareness? Get feedback, they say. You don't always see yourself accurately, and this friend or that friend doesn't always see you accurately either. But surely, 5 or 10 pals, you're going to see some very accurate trends. Here's what they found. Other people generally see us more objectively than we see ourselves. Psychologist Timothy Smith and his colleagues powerfully demonstrated this in a study with 300 married couples in which both partners were being tested for heart disease. They asked each participant to rate both their own and their partner's level of anger, hostility, and argumentiveness, altogether predictors of illness. And they found that people's self-ratings were infinitely less accurate than those of their spouses. Another study asked more than 150 Navy officers and their subordinates to rate the officer's leadership style and found that only the subordinates could actually assess their boss's performance and promotability. So what's fascinating, they say if you want to get better at your self-awareness, then have other people give you a rating on how they see you showing up objectively in the world. So what's fascinating is they will give you a better understanding of how you actually perform based on an objective outside opinion. Now, something we use, I don't have it down here for some reason. I don't see it. So something we use is called Spire. This is another great thing for self-awareness. What it is it's a little stone that clips either on your bra strap or on your belt strap, and it tracks your breath patterns all day. And it tells you when you're calm, when you're focused, when you're tense. And so what happens is you become more aware of your state of being, because you could feel fine. Someone says, how you doing? You're like, I'm fine. Someone says, are you stressed? Not at all. Totally okay. But what's wild is it can buzz you, and you can look down and go, oh my gosh, I've been tense for 5 minutes. I wasn't aware of that I was feeling this way. And all of a sudden, the self-awareness allows you to identify, well, what's causing the stress? What's causing the tension? And you become aware of what causes you to emotionally sway from different states. Again, a little breath tracker identifies when you're calm, when you're tense, when you're focused, and can help you adjust your state. Now, it's interesting. If you become more aware of how you're feeling in the moment, you'll also become more sensitive and aware to how others are feeling in the moment, because you'll feel what it feels like. You'll see the patterns in yourself, and then you'll be able to identify those patterns around you. Now, ladies tend to be very good at this. Men, not so much. What I mean is if you ask a lady how she's feeling, she has many ways of describing tense or settled or relaxed. Men, not so much. Most guys, if you ask them how they feel, will say good. Always? Yeah, pretty good. Stressed out? No, not really. And you check their little Spire, and they've been tense for 5 hours, and they don't know how to identify that. They don't know how to verbalize it as well. So this is especially good. If you have a middle-aged man in your life, father, husband, spouse, partner, someone who's in that stage of life where heart attacks become a big deal, definitely buy them a Spire as a gift, because it'll help them become aware of times when they're tense and help to teach them how to breathe through it and calm themselves back down. Now, ladies also are better at self-soothing because bodily function-wise, your body's not able to give breast milk when you're overly tense or stressed. Therefore, when a woman's body is overly tense, she's good at self-soothing to get down to a point where now she can give breast milk again. Men do not have this ability. Most of us have to go stare at a freaking wall for an hour to feel better. And so, again, if you can give them tools of not only identifying in their tense, but then learning how to breathe back to calm and self-soothe themselves, it's a very powerful and useful tactical gift you can give someone in that moment. So number one is self-awareness. Number two is self-regulation. Now, this is an interesting thing. If you want to increase emotional intelligence, they say the second part is self-regulation. And here's a little paragraph they have from Harvard Business Review. Let's see. Biological impulse drives our emotions. We cannot do away with them, but we can do much to manage them. Self-regulation is like an ongoing inner conversation, is the component of emotional intelligence that frees us from being a prisoner of our feelings. People engaged in such conversation feel bad moods and our emotional impulses just as everyone else does, but they find a way to control them and even channel them in useful ways. So a couple things that can help. Let's see, people who can self-regulate can make better decisions and more resilient and act with more integrity, meaning they can stay consistent with what they say they're going to do because they can regulate the urges and distractions that might pull them off. So real quick, when it comes to self-regulation, 0 to 10, how would you rate yourself? Can you regulate how you feel? Can you regulate your actions? If you say you're going to do something, do you do it? Can you get yourself to follow through 100% when you say you're going to get something done? Or do you struggle with self-regulation, meaning you say you're going to do something and then sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Just depends on the kind of day. I have some family members who struggle with this, where they say they're going to do something, and then a week later, they're completely going the other direction. And what's wild is obviously self-regulation is the challenge. They're not able to regulate their consistency of action. Let's see. Bria says a 4, and that's generous. Fair. So sounds like you're good at self-assessing. So 4. Where's everyone else at? Let's see. Paul says a 7. So at self-regulation, Stuart, state management. State management's important, but to regulate your state would have a lot to do with this. Let's see. And while you're sharing where you feel you are in self-regulation, so 0 to 10, 10 meaning you own it. Stuart says a 7, 0 meaning 50-50, you're all over the place. Here's a few tips on how to better your self-regulation. So number 1, mindfulness is an excellent science-backed way to self-regulate, and a full explanation. Let's see. Mini meditation, so Muse, Steve says a 5. Muse meditation every day. So you throw on the headband and you practice regulating your focus. The next time you feel your emotions surging, turn your attention towards your breath. Focus on it going in and out. When your mind wanders, return your attention to your breath and give it 10 to 20 seconds at first. Let's see. Neuroscience says even a little bit of calm, those feelings can get your head on straight. Let's see. Meditation. So how meditation can change your brain. As these stressful thoughts were presented, the patients used either 2 different attention stances: mindful awareness of their breath or distraction by doing mental arithmetic. Only mindfulness of their breath both lowered the activity in the amygdala, mainly via a faster recovery, and strengthened the brain's attention networks, while the patients reported less stress reactivity. So what's wild is the fastest way to help better regulate your mind and body is to learn how to practice mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is the benefit you get from meditation. Like if you're trying to grow your muscles, you lift weights, and lifting weights helps you over time build muscle. Meditating over time helps you access more mindfulness, so you become more present and aware. And so what's wild, again, we go back to Muse. We're huge fans of Muse because we use it. And it's the only tool that I know of that can give you at home the kind of feedback. And let me see if I can pull up a session for you real quick. This is one of my favorites. So if I scroll back, here's a session where it wasn't so good. So this is my brain all over the place. If you see all those marks jumping up and down, up and down, up and down. And then let's see. I'll show you the difference between that and when I'm completely able to control the thoughts and be completely in the zone. And so what's wild is it's a practice, and that gives you biofeedback. So it's a little headband you slap on your head, and it tracks your ability to clear your mind and stay completely focused and present on your breath. And it gives you actual feedback. When you start thinking of thoughts, it gives you lightning bolts and thunderstorms because you got a storm in your mind. And when you're able to clear your mind completely, stay completely focused and present, which is the goal, it gives you little birds chirping to tell you you're doing a good job. So it's a cool device that can help strengthen your self-regulation because you practice the ability to stay focused and present on the task at hand. Let's see. So number 3, hopefully this is useful so far. If you find this useful, please click the share button, invite more people to come and check this out. So 2 things so far increase emotional intelligence. Number 1 is self-awareness. Number 2 is self-regulation. Number 3 is motivation. So this is interesting. Plenty of people are motivated by external factors, such as a big salary or status that comes from having an impressive title or being part of a prestigious company. By contrast, those with leadership potential are motivated by a deeply embedded desire to achieve for the sake of achievement. And so the whole point of this is, if you're looking at someone in a leadership position, someone who has the ability to stay motivated for the sake, to stay locked on the achievement for the sake of the achievement. And so the ability to have internal motivation. External motivation is things you're going to do, something that's going to happen. And I would name it extrinsic versus intrinsic. Intrinsic means you have a deep purpose why, a deep meaning why you're doing this that causes you to continue to go forward again and again and again and again, regardless of the challenge or circumstance, because there's some reason that's deeply important to you and causes you to keep moving forward for that reason. Whether it's because you want to set an example for a child you have, whether it's because you believe your DNA was made to do this, it's because you love the process and you feel like you were born to do this, it's part of your DNA. Whatever it is, there's an intrinsic reason that's causing you to keep going when everyone else quits. Versus an extrinsic factor is proving someone wrong, showing someone who you are, trying to earn an external paycheck or get to a certain level. Because once you get there, the motivation, the inspiration fades away instantly. So one thing they say that you can do, so real quick, how good are you at keeping yourself engaged, inspired, and motivated to continue to go forward when everyone else seems to drop out, give up, and quit? Are you someone who's intrinsically motivated? If so, what inspires you? Why are you doing what you're doing? What is causing you to continue to keep going when everyone else quits? What's the internal reason that causes you to keep going? A great example where this is tested, there's a group called Seal Fit run by a gentleman named Mark Devine. He talks about this. He does a 50-hour physical training course with people. It's the closest thing you can get to a Navy SEAL Hell Week or boot camp as a civilian. And what they do is they help you find an intrinsic reason to keep going when everyone else quits and gives up. And so they help show you that when you think you're at 100% capacity and your body is out of juice, that you're only at like 40 to 60% of what you're really capable of. And they help you find a deeper reason why you need to keep going, whether it's for your family, someone you love, because you believe it's your mission and purpose in life to do so. They help you find something deep and meaningful to drive yourself forward when every square ounce and molecule of your body wants to give up and quit. And when you can find that reason, the intrinsic reason why, it causes you to ignite with energy and continue to make progress when everyone else gives up. So going back to this email, let's see. This pattern is what we call the progress principle. All of the positive events that influence their inner work life, the single most powerful is progress in meaningful work. So let's see. Paul says a job with purpose is in line with values. Helps. Absolutely. That's what they're saying. All of the negative events, the single most powerful opposite is progress. And so what's wild is the big thing they say, if you want to stay motivated, hunt for progress. Look for anything in your life that you can find an area of life you're making progress in, whether it's in your health, whether it's in your emotions, whether it's in your relationship. Find one area of life and drive forward. Find a way to make progress. Get 2 steps further than you've ever been. Lift 1 more time than you've ever done. Meditate 1 more minute than you've ever done. Give 1 more kind compliment to someone. But find a way to make progress in something that's important to you, and it builds your motivation to keep going. Let's see. Next one is empathy. And empathy, they Harvard Business Review defines as the ability to understand the emotional makeup of other people. It's skill in treating people according to their emotional reactions. So let's see. Those with sympathetic feelings become too strong, may themselves suffer. In the helping profession, this can lead to compassion fatigue. In executives, it can create distracting feelings of anxiety about people and circumstances that are beyond anyone's control. But those who protect themselves by defending their feelings may lose touch with empathy. So what's interesting is they say there's a solution. The solution actually distinguishes different types of empathy, which I'll go through in a second. But real quick, where's your empathy level? How good, 0 to 10, how do you rate yourself on how well you're able to experience other people's emotions around you so that you can be aware of how they're feeling? I think one of my favorite stories about this, it was really funny. My dad was giving an example at an event one time, and he was talking about my stepmom, popped out of the closet wearing an outfit and said, "What do you like, the blue shoes or the yellow shoes?" And he said, what most guys do that royally screw this up is they listen to what the actual question was. What do I like? And they answer it. I like the yellow ones. And then what happens is 10 seconds later, she comes out wearing the blue ones and goes, okay, let's go. And then the guy goes, oh, why would you even ask me if you aren't going to listen to what I say? And all that was wrong was he wasn't paying attention to the real question. The real question wasn't, what do you like? The real question was, based on how I feel, which shoes best represent the emotions I'm trying to express, which is empathy. How well can you feel what that person is feeling, and how well can you translate that into which of these two pairs of shoes in this example best represent the expression of that emotion? So if you're in a long-term relationship, that is a very small insight that will save you a lot of headache down the road. But in this email, they break it down into 3 types of empathy. Emotional empathy. You feel awful, so I feel awful too, where you're matching and mirroring emotions. Number 2 is cognitive empathy. I understand you're feeling awful. That must suck, meaning you understand the other person. And number 3 is compassion. You feel awful. I feel for you. How can I help? And so they talk about all 3 have their place, but compassion is the key that really, truly helps make the progress when it comes to leadership. I'm trying to read if there's another point in here. So I think that was it. So let me pull this over here. So the 4 areas of how you can become better is number 1, self-awareness. Number 2, self-regulation. Number 3, motivation, having that intrinsic reason why. Number 4, empathy. So the combination of those. And then number 5 is social skills, just practicing communication skills of better communicating with others. Simple tool we use is just as simple as, when you hear something, repeat it back to the person and ask for clarification. Especially if you get upset with someone or in a fight, they say, you did X, Y, and Z. If I'm hearing you correctly, you said that I did X, Y, and Z. How does that make you feel? You're letting them know you're hearing them, and then you're asking for a next step. And so little tiny patterns of language and communication make such a difference in as far as social skills. So those are the 5 things: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Really great stuff. Let's see, Paul. Love Carl Rogers' original principle of advanced empathy and unconditional positive regard. Amazing skills at the core of great relationships at work. Absolutely. The unconditional positive regard is huge when it comes to relationships. It's setting the belief in place that I believe in every ounce of who I am, that the person I'm in relations with, my customer, my client, my spouse, my significant other, my child, my dad, my mom, whoever, I believe that they're doing good in this relationship. I'm going to believe that to the deepest extent possible, and then I'm going to act on the belief that I believe everything they're doing is for a good reason. It allows you to see them in a good light versus believing what they're doing is evil and manipulative, and you act very differently to them. Anyways, if you found this stuff useful, please click the share button. I always like reaching more people with these kind of messages. I'm going to jump off because I have another Facebook Live to join a good friend on his channel. I think I have like 5 minutes, though. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you on the topic of emotional intelligence. Again, I'm a huge fan of this concept. I believe a lot of the stuff we teach in Performance Coach University is the type of information and tools that allow a leader or a boss or someone who's in charge of groups of people to be more effective at emotional intelligence and the way they communicate and lead teams, which, according to this email, they get at least 20, what was it? They were able to outperform their yearly earnings goals by at least 20% when they're better emotionally intelligent. So I love the fact that we teach this kind of stuff, and it's good to see that the research studies are showing that the emotional intelligence does make the difference. I don't see any questions. Paul, good to see you. Many thanks. You're very welcome. So hopefully you guys have an amazing morning, day, afternoon, evening. Actually, we'll do something fun. If you click the share button, I'm going to comb through, and in the next 24 hours, we will give away, I'll let you choose. I have 3 different books right now I can give away that I have here. Ray, how much time do you invest in meditating? Great question. I meditate anywhere between 10 to 30 minutes a day. 10 minutes on a really busy day when I don't have time. I've always got 10 minutes. 30 minutes on days where I have lots of open space in the schedule. Normally fits in on like Sundays and Saturdays. I get more 30 minutes, as well as Fridays and Mondays. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, I tend to get anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes depending on the schedule. Cool. Okay, I'm going to jump to go join another Facebook Live. Hopefully you guys have an amazing morning, day, afternoon, and I will see you all tomorrow.